Hi, and welcome back. I am Pamela Bob, your Gen X first generation Little House on the Prairie lover and host. And I'm here with our favorite prairie bitch, Allison Arngrim, and our favorite blonde bombshell, our hashtag imaginary boyfriend, Dean Butler.
You're the
they
blonde
are taking
bombshell.
selfies
That's
right
what
now.
I love. I am the bitch. Hey, at least you're not the bitch. What do you want?
Yeah,
That bitch,
Thought
Dean
it only
Butler. Oh, my
fair.
God.
Yeah. Although, you guys sort of looked alike on the show. I'm just going to say it right now.
Seriously?
The cinnamon chicken scene.
Oh.
The close-ups of the two of you. It's like, that is a freaky resemblance.
It was just this like Swedish convention or something. It's just blonde,
Yes.
blue-eyed people hanging out at the Mercantile.
It was
Anyway,
a function of
how are you guys?
Good. It was a function of the time.
Yeah, close cousins.
Yeah.
There we go.
Minnesota. Everybody's Norwegian and Swedish.
Yeah. So you were like Allison. Everyone, I mean, we start this, and Allison literally ran in the door and dropped her stuff on the table, and
Like 30
we started.
seconds
So
ago.
so what was going on this morning?
It was great. So I come back and go, dum-de-dum-de-dum-de-dum. I have like tons of time. I have like 40 minutes. It takes 15 to get there. What am I doing? And I go, oh, I need to turn the windshield wipers. Like my windshield's fogged up. My car
Seriously?
is encased in ice. I go to roll down the side windows and chunks of ice and crystals and snow. I'm like, what has happened? It dropped into the 30s in Tahunga last night and everything
Wow.
froze bloody solid.
Wow.
So I was like, okay. So I put on all the defrost things and drove blind for 2 blocks till it like defrosted.
Jeez, yeah, no, that's not a good plan.
Insane.
Better to stop
So-
and let it thaw.
Welcome to my world.
Yeah.
We're in
Yeah, no,
Mexico.
exactly. That's the world you live in. But do you even have a car in Do you have a car in Manhattan?
I do, because I'm not in Manhattan. I'm in Queens.
Oh, you're in Queens.
Queens,
Okay.
you
She's in
can
the
have a
land
car.
of my birth. She's in
Okay.
Queens.
I'm in the motherland.
Yes.
The motherland.
The
Okay.
motherland.
All right, very
Queens.
good. Yeah.
The old
Dean, how are
country.
you? Did you fight the ice today?
No, it's actually it was
You're out west.
nice snow. It was just wet, but easy run across the Sepulveda Pass and south on the 101. You know that Los Angeles 405 to the 101 to the 170 thing
Hike.
that we all talk about. Yeah, but no, this morning, and by the time this airs, it'll be less than that. But 43 days away from the Little House on the Prairie 50th anniversary cast reunion and festival.
Having papers.
And I tell you, I'm a little flipped out that we are 43 days away from this. There is so much to do, but it's.
I'm not ready.
I mean, this started back in 2019. I mean, Allison, you were there when this whole idea was born to do this, and here we are, 43 days away from it, and it's
And I
pretty
just want to
amazing.
give props to Baby Carrie because, that's the thing. Rachel Greenbush, Baby Carrie, and her gorgeous husband, Danny, live in Simi. And that's the thing. They had been bugging people in Simi for years. You have like a Pioneer Day parade. Hello, you could have people from Little House in it. Like, nope.
Yeah.
And they've been pushing for ages. And so early on, it was like Olin and Rachel and Danny and me. And then it just snowballed. But, props to Baby Carrie. She's been ranting about this for ages, going, why? Why are we not doing this in Simi? Let's go.
Well, and we have to talk to her because she and Danny and Charlotte Yerke, who is one of our script coordinators, script supervisors, have been managing the assembly of memorabilia from the show. And there's going to be
They got a
whole
wagon
wall
and
of
stuff.
Yes, they are. Well, at Big Sky, yes, they're a big surprise that what they've created at Big Sky. But at the Rancho Susana Community Center, they have pulled together all of this material, costumes and scripts and props.
I don't have
all
any.
these
What do
things.
you have from the show? What do you have from the show?
I've got the wonderful. Listen, I hoard it. I've got the wonderful Michael Landon hat. I've got a
hat.
shirt, which there's no way I can wear anymore, and a pair of suspenders and driving gloves. Now the suspenders are stretched out because elastic goes away, but I've got them.
Can you wear the driving gloves? So you can wear the driving
The
gloves.
driving
That's kind of
gloves.
cool.
My hands have not changed that
When you're
much.
driving a wagon in Santa
you
Monica,
need-
but yeah,
exactly.
Yeah,
You need those
I got nothing. I almost got the boots. I almost got the boots.
What about the wig? You've got the wig.
Oh, right.
Or did you
I have the wig. No.
You
I have a facsimile.
Okay,
I have a
yeah.
reasonable facsimile thereof.
Okay.
I do not have
Is
the
the
wig.
wig still out there
We
somewhere?
don't
Do you know
know.
if it's...
I think one of the grandchildren of either Larry's grandchildren or Gladys's grandchildren, one of the hairdressers' families has it. That's what I think.
Okay.
That wig needs to be in the Smithsonian, people. That's what I'm saying.
Somebody out
If
there
Archie
knows
Bunker's
where it
chair
is.
can be in the Smithsonian. Nellie
and
Olson's
Nellie
wig. is
Olson's
right
wig.
next to it.
Somebody
Yes.
knows where it is. Call us.
And,
yes.
and also, the cast is coming.
Well,
right?
yeah, no,
You
of
tell
course.
us
I mean,
who?
Melissa and Karen Grassley, Melissa Gilbert is coming. Melissa Sloan.
Robin and Rachel,
Melissa
both
Sloan
Carries.
is not coming.
Both Carries.
Carries,
Robin and Rachel.
right? Robin and Rachel. Linwood's coming.
Linwood Boomer, Malcolm in the Middle. Hello. Gorgeous Adam, also Malcolm in the Middle.
Bonnie
yes.
Bartlett's coming. Brian Part is coming. Patrick Labrateau is coming. And who else is coming? I mean, I guess
Well, you,
I'm coming, yeah.
your sister Lucy Lee coming all the way in from Philadelphia.
Yeah,
Yeah,
yeah.
from Pennsylvania there.
great.
Wendy Lou Lee. Oh, and her sister Brenda Weatherby.
This is Baby Grace.
And you don't always get both Baby Grace
No,
to
you
it. That's a
don't.
huge
Rarely.
deal.
Rarely.
Huge deal.
Yeah.
Pam Roy Lance, who we love ever so much, and her TV hubby Stan Ivar, the Carters. Yes, we get everybody. Who else? Wait. Okay, David Friedman. Love him. Leslie Landon Matthews and Mike Landon Jr. Are they coming? Are they coming? The kids.
They
The
are
kids are
coming.
coming. The
They
kids
are
are coming. And that's my generation of Landon children. Because
Yeah.
as we know, there's like 400 or 500 Landon children. He had a lot of kids. I don't know.
There's a
12,
clan. It's a
17.
Landon clan.
I don't remember.
And then
but
of course
they're ones in my group.
Then our roses, Laura and Almanzo's roses, Jennifer Donati, the first round of Rose, and Michelle and Jennifer Steffen, round 2 of Rose are
4
coming.
people were
and of course we will be celebrating all of those individuals who have gone on, but who were so essential to the creation of what Little House was.
Oh, that's great.
Because
Yeah.
Olin
People
also did those
people are writing
paintings.
in and asking about, the ones that are no longer here.
Well, Olin did those lovely paintings of everybody we lost, so we may have those there.
Yeah.
That could be a thing.
There's
That'll
no
be
question
nice.
those will be there.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So we'll have paintings of everybody.
Well, among one of those,
We named somebody who's...
we did. We named somebody. Can you guess? One of them is here with us today. It's our special guest. But before I announce who it is, let me just say one thing. From the studios of UBN Go in Burbank, California, I'm in New York City. Visit SeeMeValley.com presents a special event podcast. This is Little House 50 for 50. Mellow tones. Okay, the I will never not comment on that music. The Little House on the Prairie 50th Anniversary Cast Reunion and Festival is right around the corner, as we've been talking about. There's a Big Sky Tour, fan experience, crafts, music, so much more. But as we all know, at the center of it all is the cast. Am I right, you guys? Not
Well,
like you're biased or anything.
Yeah, no, I think the casts of these programs, of all programs, are the character and the heart of these shows, and it's why people tune in. It's what those people that make up the cast of the shows define the nature of the shows, and so those people become very, that's a very important ingredient in all of this. And it's people come. For years we've been traveling around and going out as a group and individually,
And in our
people
case,
come and see us.
We're more fun than most of the other TV casts.
Are we?
Well, but you're
We
also
are.
like family to us. You really are. You're like a part of our family as well. It's not just a normal, quote unquote, normal fan experience.
That's for sure.
Yeah, I've always believed that actors are incredibly important to all of this, but I also feel like actors get probably too much credit when something's really great.
Speak for yourself,
Yeah,
Dean
well,
Butler.
okay, and they take way too much blame when something doesn't quite
Now
work.
that I'll get behind. Yes.
We know that happens.
spoken like a true creative person.
Yeah. Yeah, exactly.
Let's meet our guest today because
Yes,
the
let's
clock
meet
is
our
ticking.
guest.
Yeah.
I'll give a
man has
little. I'll
places
give a
to
little
be.
intro. He's been an actor since he was a kid. He's worked on television and in films. He's a writer, producer, and these days an internet storyteller. We know him as Little House's Andy Garvey. That's right, from the Garvey era. Welcome to Little House 50 for 50 podcast, Patrick Labrateau.
Thank you.
You get
hell
the
of an
music.
intro.
Well,
You get the
welcome,
applause.
Patrick. Little old Dan Tucker there for you, Patrick.
Thank you.
Yeah. Well, I just want to start with this, Patrick, as we launch into conversation with you. We're here celebrating, this whole podcast, 50 for 50, is here to celebrate 50 years of Little House. I'm just curious for you. You know, you have a really good, broad sense of television, of film, of the industry in general. What do you think about when you think about 50 years of Little House? What comes to mind for you?
A conversation I had with Michael Landon. We were having lunch one day, and Mork and Mindy was this huge hit. You know, it was just like overtaking everything. In fact, they shot across the street from us at Paramount. And I was talking to Michael about it. He goes, "No, it's good. It's good. It's going to disappear in a couple of years. You'll still be on TV in 50 years, but it'll disappear." And I couldn't wrap my head around it. I was like, "What are you talking about, Michael Landon?" Like I knew more than Michael Landon. I said, "It's Mork." And he goes, "Yeah, but the suspenders and the comedy, and we're dressed in the 1870s, 1880s. We're not going to change. We're going to stay the same.
We're old, we're new."
Yeah, and it's just going to stay on television. And at that time, there was no real syndication. I didn't see how it could stay on TV. But he was so right about that flash forward, I was on another show called Jag, which was a show not at all like Little House, except I had the conversation with its creator, Don Belisario, telling him this story about Michael Landon. And I go, the reason I'm telling you this story is because we're in uniform. It's going to be kind of like the same thing. Yeah. And he agreed. Mm-hmm. It was kind of amazing how it was similar to that point, where I think when I think of Little House and how its history has affected TV, it's going to be on forever because it always looks the way it looks. It was shot on film. Teddy Voigtlander did such a great job with the lighting and everything that it's so cinematic. Yeah. And because you had the creativity of Michael Landon, I always tell the story about, I've been in a lot of funeral scenes, from Little House to movies to whatever, and they take forever because you have the whole cast there. Everyone gets their own coverage. It takes forever. It's a day and a half at the grave site, except for Michael Landon, who shoots everything 50 yards away in a silhouette in kind of like this beautiful shot where everything is done in one shot, and then we move on. And it's just like
with gorgeous music to accompany it.
Yeah, and it's that type of filmmaking that Michael did, that because he had the juice, he could say, "Yeah, I'm doing this." He didn't have to answer to producers saying, "Where's the coverage? What are we going to cut to?" Right. He goes, "You don't cut to anything. It's a tableau and beautiful acting."
Yeah. Do you think he went into it creating the show knowing that in advance? I mean, do you think that was part of the reason why he created this show, because he knew it was going to last, or he created the show because he loved it and he knew it was going to last?
I don't know Michael as well as any of the other people here, except for maybe.
Oh, I don't think that's true. I think you had a really good sense of Michael.
Well, no, but you guys know a little bit more about it. I spent more time with him directly. What I know about Michael was he wanted to direct from when he was on Bonanza. He told this story to me about cornering the executives at some press conference in order to get to direct. I think when he got into Little House, he knew a couple of things. One, he was going to transition easy from Little Joe into this part because people knew him from Bonanza, obviously. Mm-hmm. And I think that he also understood, after being on Bonanza for so long and learning everything, and then taking the entire crew with him as far as it goes, where it was an extension of Bonanza for him as far as a work environment in an area that he knew very, very well. And he understood that no matter what, because if you look at, Highway to Heaven or even Us, the final show that he did.
Yeah. Oh my God, that one.
They're all the same structural, from a writer's point, structurally the same show. Yeah. It's a story about morals and family and people who love each other.
Yeah. Right. Exactly.
Well, I think he knew, because you had a generation of women who grew up reading the books who all then became old enough to have a crush on Little Joe on Bonanza, and then suddenly, oh look, it's Little House on the Prairie, the book you grew up on, and Little Joe is Pa, and ding, ding, ding. And I don't think that escaped his attention, that was a mathematical thing happening.
For him to have that foresight of knowing that this show would be on for 50 years and, forever.
He told a bunch of people that. And everyone
he told you that too, Dean.
And everyone he told that went, and backed slowly out of the room because they thought he was nuts. Because like that, no, what are you?
I don't think anyone thought he was nuts, but it's like, wow, this is maybe a little hyperbole here.
yes,
there
But
was
at
no
the
cable.
time, at the time, it
Nothing.
felt like a little extreme.
Yeah.
Obviously, now it was prescient.
But what can we know? There was
Yeah.
no VHS, there was no Blu-ray, there was no disc, there was no cable, there was no nothing.
Yeah.
There was just reruns on like the network you were on or the afternoon. That was it. There was nothing.
Yeah. Now, Patrick and Allison, you both are, you are both children of show business. And I know, Patrick, I
Show
love the way
kids.
you describe
Yes.
yourself that way, Patrick, very deliberately. Did you guys know each other at all? Did you have any awareness of each other before you started working together on Little House?
No, this strange boy appeared on the set one day and I went, "Oh, hello, you work here now? Great, okay."
Was that
That's
your
what it
first
was like for
impression?
me. I was this huge fan of Little House. I've been watching Little House since it was on. And my story about how I got on Little House is this crazy story.
It's
It goes on
bananas.
forever, but it happened really quick. I watched this. There was Bunny in the Race, and I watched the race on a Wednesday. I got a call on Thursday saying, I got picked up from school on Thursday saying, "Hey, you got an audition for Little House." I went to audition for Little House. They said, "Great, we're going to take you to Simi Valley to read for Michael." I read for Michael, who was dressed as Paw. He says, "Great, go to wardrobe. You're hired."
Go to
I
wardrobe.
started work on Friday
reading.
at 7 in the morning. On the Wolves, and I was on the show. And I didn't know I was on the
Disappeared.
show. Like, I thought it was an episode. I didn't know I was on the show for like another 2 weeks. Right.
That's
And
pretty,
when I met
that's pretty
Allison,
amazing, Patrick.
The thing I loved about
He just
Allison
walked
was
in like
here's-
he lived
here's
there.
Nellie Olson, and all of a sudden, Allison just starts talking like we were in the middle of a conversation. Like, just like it was like she had, oh, by the way, and she starts telling me about John Waters and Divine and all these movies that she was into.
That doesn't sound anything like Allison.
And that's how I met Allison.
That's wild.
He
That's
just
the craziest
kinda-
thing I've ever heard.
I was talking to the kids, and he just had suddenly, like I said, one day he was reading, and then he tried on some clothes, and then he was there. So it was like, "Oh, you're here now. All right." And then we were chatting with. I said, "And another thing, you who now apparently live here," and just like, "Yeah, of course you are."
Michael could
lovely,
make
Allison.
he could make those decisions very quickly.
Well, how many
well,
other
the
kids
story-
were auditioning? What? Like my mind is blown.
The story that I heard was I know for a fact they had another kid playing Andy Garvey. He's in a couple of episodes where he's in the church. But the story I heard about why that guy was no longer around, and this is the story I heard, was that we had
Allegedly.
this great catering company. Allegedly, we had this great catering company, and
Yes, we did. Oh
like
my
Thursday or Friday, there would be like steak and lobster.
It was fantastic.
Like,
It was
literally
fantastic.
steak and
The food was amazing. Just
And I heard that Michael was walking by this kid and his mom one day, and he heard the kid say, "Steak and lobster again," and that was it.
Wow.
Oh no, child.
Seriously?
Okay. So there was an Andy 2 somewhere in there.
Yeah,
No,
I'm
di-
Andy 2. He would be Andy 1.
Andy 2.
with
Right,
highfalutin
right.
tastes.
Now, does this other child ever appear on the show at all? I mean,
Yeah, there's a shot of him in
okay.
maybe like because I was in the Wolves, and then like whatever episode was on before
Which is
that-
episode 5 of season 4.
That's also insane
Yeah.
that that's your first episode on the show. Because that's an intense episode.
You have wolves in your barn.
What's that?
I was like, "You have wolves in your barn," where I had the
Yeah, we have
four
wolves in our barn.
jawbreakers stuffed in my mouth for some insane reason. Yes.
And the first day that we were shooting was in the barn on the loft in the hay with the dogs attacking us.
Yeah.
And in between all of these dogs attacking us, I'm there with Melissa Gilbert, who was Laura to me like 2 nights ago.
Right, 'cause you were
And
a
I'm sitting
fan.
there,
Ugh.
I'm fanning all over her, going, and then when was that real money that you had when you found all the Confederate money? And,
yeah.
And she turns to me and sweetly, but as you know, Melissa, you'll know it was also sarcastic because she goes, "Dude, you're on the show. Chill." And I chill.
Oh my god. Wait,
But
so
she still
all right,
answered all the questions.
I'm asking an actor logistical question. You got
Yes.
offered the show on Thursday and started filming Friday. When did you learn your lines? When did you get the
You
script?
learn your lines. I mean, little kid actors are little machines. They just
Yeah, they're
soak it up.
sponges.
Yeah, and you just learn. And plus, it's not like it's not like we're the preacher where we come in and
Right.
Dabs has 2
Paragraph.
pages of
Yeah.
dialogue.
Right.
A God talk.
paragraphs.
Right.
Right. Exactly.
That's an incredible story. I love that story.
Yeah.
Wow. Okay, mind blown. Okay, what do you think? you're very articulate about talking about acting in the industry, Patrick, and you found yourself surrounded by really a lot of special talents. Your resume is insane. But what do you think the special ingredient was that made the actors successful on Little House?
Once again, it's Michael.
Yeah.
Michael, the way Michael cast people. You don't cast Allison and have her be someone different.
Exactly.
I mean, she's not a bitch in person, but she knows how to be.
But she knows how to play one on TV.
Yeah.
Yes.
Yeah.
And the way he cast people, he cast them for their personalities, and then either would write for them, like with my brother, he wrote Albert for my brother.
Yeah.
Or he cast people like myself who were like Andy. Just some kid playing in the dirt, like, oh, he's good and he's a nice kid, and that was the thing. He's a nice kid, so
he likes lobster.
Yeah, exactly, and I love lobster. So
you'd eat your lunch and say thank you and get on with it. Yes, thank you.
Right.
And again, also with Dean, you look at Dean, and you've got this guy who now the nation loves Laura. From that little girl with those teeth all the way to now she's going to get married.
Yeah.
Everyone is going to have their guns out for whoever is going to be the guy, and he finds Dean, who is like the most likable guy that you can't find anything wrong with. You know, it's Michael. It's the casting.
I think that, I mean, he wants people to. I think when I came in for that audition, I've told the story many times, but it was sort of scary to me at the moment, but it speaks to what you're saying, Patrick. The note that came back to me before that audition that I had to read for him was, whatever you do in the room, don't act. That was,
had you had an audition already? And
I'd had multiple auditions with Susan McCrae.
Okay.
Or Susan
and then this was
Supin
a
at the
note
time,
for
but
the
this
next
was
time.
the reading with him, with Michael.
Got it.
And the note was, whatever you do in the room, don't act. And for a kid who's coming in thinking he's an actor, to be told to come into the room and not act was a very counterintuitive thing. But you come to understand that when you look at the performances on the show, it's a very naturalistic presentation. Now, Allison was working a little bigger. Catherine McGregor was working a little bigger.
But they were still.
But it was
so
organically,
yes,
it was
they were so
organically
honest.
It was
in what
still,
they were doing.
that's how, because we'd seen Catherine. If Catherine, got stuck in traffic or pulled over by the cops, that voice came out of her mouth. So it was a real thing. I mean, and I've talked about my audition story, but when my father said, when I read it to him and he said, stop, put the pages face down. Don't rehearse it again. Don't do it again.
Yeah.
Do not even look at them. Just go in there and do whatever the hell that was.
Right. Exactly. No, exactly. My house is the best house in all of Walnut Grove. I mean, that is a. When you see that and you see everyone's reactions to that, it's just priceless. I mean, it tells you everything you need to know about who this girl is, who her parents are, and who everybody else in the community is, based on the reactions to that very openly snotty thing to say that most people just would never say. But that's who you were. Yes. That's who you were asked to be, and that's who you were.
And that's also the reason why we could like them as well as hate them, is because it was coming from such an honest, organic place.
Yeah.
Yes.
Perfect combination.
Yes. I'm wondering about Patrick again. Because you're such a keen observer of actors, and you worked around a lot of different actors. I'm just curious, just for your gut reaction to some of the people that you were working with. I mean, I'm just curious. Like, let's start with Hersha. I mean,
Mom.
being your mom, who we've just recently lost. What was your
My
sense
gut
of her?
reaction was Hersha, and this is said absolutely with love. Hersha loved Hersha. And I think that's important for an actor.
The man does not lie. The man is not wrong. The man is not wrong.
And I think it's wonderful because in a big cast like that,
Yeah.
and literally with a big husband who's like towering over you,
Yeah.
you had to have a strength that comes from self-love that, you can stand up to yourself. And again, I say it to my students in acting class. In acting, you think something back here and it comes out your face. And so that's what everyone was doing. And so if you didn't have that strong backbone like Hersha has, that survivor backbone, you're not going to see it in the prairie.
And that was something about their marriage, that he was the big guy and he was old fashioned. Oh, don't want my wife to work and all that. Oh, you had to have And so, but the gag was, as opposed to most of the prairie with the sweet wife and the strong man, she was saying, "Listen, Buster," was her whole thing, that she was the tough prairie woman who could talk to this guy 10 times her size and say, "Get back in the house, okay, honey." And it was hysterical, and Hersha could do that. And yes, Hersha loved Hersha. We all agreed with her and loved her as well. But yes, Hersha was Hersha.
Hersha was Hersha. How about Richard Bull? I mean, talk about, flip the coin over a little bit, and we'll talk. How about him?
Richard Bull was, I in my mind, I think of him as a ninja assassin. He's the guy who you do not anticipate because he's quiet. And especially on Little House, from Catherine to like the moms on set to Allison to everything was loud except for Richard. Richard was really, really quiet. In fact, I did a student film where I asked him to star in, and he came out, and he was amazing, and he was so kind and so gentle, and he gave a wonderful performance. And talking about Allison and Catherine, Michael also understood comedy. You have to have a counterpoint, and the counterbalance of that was Richard, where he comes in really, really soft, really, really strategic, and just tears her apart.
Yes,
the audience loves.
Just one eyebrow, an eyebrow would go up, and you're dead. You're just dead. The man.
Well, those little asides he would do that would rhyme what he actually was meaning to say.
Right,
hilarious, absolutely hilarious.
All right, so then the flip side of Richard Bull is Catherine McGregor. There's so much to say about her, but so what did you see when you watched Catherine work?
I love Catherine so much because when she was off camera, she was a real person, and when she was on camera, she was this crazy person, and it fascinated me because, like Allison says, it wasn't like it was faking it. It was like there were two parts of her personality that you get to see. She was really sweet off camera and really, really crazy on camera. And when she was being mean to you on camera, I never sensed that she was acting. I felt she was being really mean. The cameras would stop and she would be fine.
Well, she had such a transformation as Harriet Olsen, where she was really sort of stoically a little cold in the beginning and haughty. And when she found the humor, when she started unmining that capacity that she had, then the character just bloomed like into this force of nature. I mean, she was like a hurricane.
And it was obvious that
everywhere.
Michael wrote for that.
Oh,
as
totally.
well.
Yeah.
Once they tapped into that,
we have to
like,
ask the Cheaters episode. Okay, so the Cheaters.
Oh yeah, of course.
There's your darling mother. Hersha is teaching, and so but no, you're apparently Andy's not as smart as he could be. Maybe he's dyslexic. I don't know. He's bad at math, something. And I'm like, yeah, I'm going to tutor you. And you need to steal the test answers. That was
evil.
I was horrid to you. I was really mean to you in that episode. I was vicious.
And so how does that tie together?
And you as well. I mean, they're working with Allison as Nellie.
That had to be weird.
Well, unlike Catherine, who felt that she was being mean, there was a sense of joy in your performance of how evil you were that was absolutely present every single time you were doing something or saying something. It's like, the obvious one is Country Girls, where it's like you could just see how much disdain you had for these people.
Oh yeah, no, it's just it comes through that. There's that wonderful shot when the girls go up in front of the room and they're standing there with Charlotte Stewart, Miss Beadle, and Michael pans across the room or does a little tracking shot across a reverse, and there's Allison looking like the eyes look. It's demonic. It's vicious. It's like it's quiet. It's. The desire would be to sort of cut them in half and make them disappear. And that's sort of what you see.
You're
and
reading,
Michael hangs on this as we watch.
Daggers.
Yeah, it's wonderful fun.
I'm so glad you have, in fact, guessed my inner monologue. Thank you. Thank you for that.
Let's talk quickly about we're there. We're talking about Charlotte Stewart now, maybe. I was just with Charlotte the other day up in Napa shooting something with her for Cozy TV. What did you think of Charlotte, Patrick?
I loved Charlotte. Charlotte was the sweetest thing ever.
Yes.
And as a kid, you know Charlotte as Miss Beadle, and she's probably the one person I think is the closest to being the character that she is when I was a kid. Now, as an adult, I'm hearing Charlotte's real life, realizing
Read that
she's
biography. No.
She's not at all like Miss Beadle. But she is as sweet as you think she is.
Yeah, no, absolutely. She is so beloved by people who watch the program and continue to enjoy it. I think she just models what being a great teacher would be. So beautiful.
Absolutely, absolutely.
Yeah.
And what about Merlin?
Dad.
Yes,
Dad.
let's talk
Your
about
daddy.
Dad.
Pops.
You know, I'm going to be doing another story on TikTok about this, but, you know, the thing with Merlin, which was wild, was my dad was really, really sick while we were shooting. And, you know, he eventually
I remember.
succumbed to this horrible thing that he was going through. But during Little House, both my brother and I were on the show. And so my mom was there, and my brother and I were there. And Dad was usually at the hospital. He was in the hospital for a long, long time, like 10 years in and out.
Oh, I'm so sorry.
It was extremely, extremely, you know, horrible. And so then I've got on set, and my dad is a 6'3", you know, and he's like 140 pounds, and he's just wasting away. And then my pa on TV is Merlin Olsen, who is like just about as man can get. And I literally would climb on him and climb around him like a jungle gym, and he'd be fine with that. And I'd get hugs. And I knew what he was meaning to me as far as a man and a father figure, literally playing my father. I could have that. It wasn't really pretend, because I mean, he's a real person. He's warm and he's loving. And then my young kid brain was sort of like filling in my father stuff with Merlin.
Yeah.
And so that's how I remember him. He was amazing. Then I see this interview that Dean did with him on the DVDs. And I never knew this, and I started crying when I was watching this on YouTube, that he knew, and he knew what was going on, and he was like kind of leaning into it and taking care of me in a way that as a kid I would never understand. So he's a saint. I have nothing bad to say about Merlin. If anyone does, I dare you that you're lying.
Oh no, I mean Merlin was lovely. I mean he really
was just an amazing, amazing man.
Yeah. And no one worked. There were probably, I mean, for as hard as Michael worked, Merlin had to be among NBC's hardest working talent. I mean, this guy is on the stage
did everything
5 days a week, and he's prepping for football games, and he's off doing NFL games on Sunday with Dick Enberg, and he's back on the stage on Monday morning. He was burning it all the time,
and sneaking in commercials, and then let me do
FTD
a
Florist,
commercial.
I mean,
my
he was
spare
just
time.
he was just amazing.
Well, he had a car
really
dealership. He sold Porsches
Merlin
on the
Olsen's
side.
Porsche Audi. Yeah, no, exactly. You did I want to jump to Michael here quickly because our clock is running on us. You did an interview. I did an interview with you where you talked about working with Michael. And we all have stories about working with Michael, but you had a very particular thing to say that I've never forgotten, and that is that Michael had the ability to let you into his eyes. Talk about what that means, because I think you have very particular, specific thinking behind that statement.
Yeah, there's a lot of ways that actors work. And there are the actors where you work alongside them, you're the actors that you work against them, and actors that are inclusive. And Michael was an inclusive actor. And what I mean by that is that when you say your lines or when you're expressing your emotions, sometimes you can see the other actor getting ready to do their thing, blah, 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 my line type. To be honest, I've been that actor. It's like you're not working with someone that you think is really great, and you think I got to save this scene. Well, Michael Landon's been doing this forever, and he's working with a lot of kids.
Yeah.
And they're not the actor that Michael Landon is. They can't be. They just don't have the years behind it. There's no way, right?
Right.
But what he did when you were in a scene is he would look at you, and you would feel like he was looking at you. You would see in his eyes that he was listening to you, which then, again, back of the head, out the front of your face, if you're thinking, oh, he's really listening, then what you're saying must be really important. And that comes through as an actor. So it makes you a better actor without you doing anything. It's all because of Michael. Not to mention that Michael had this amazing ability, again, because he's so professional, that he would be making a funny joke or doing an impersonation of him being a werewolf from I Was a Teenage Werewolf. And then he'd go, okay, roll it. And then they would roll it and he'd go, and action. And then all of a sudden he's Pa. It's not like he's Michael Landon movie star. He's Pa. And it's like, it was a fascinating transformation because it happened instantaneously and it wasn't made up. He was in the character. He was in the scene. More likely he wrote the scene. So he knew exactly what it was and he knew exactly where he wanted to be. And so there was no questioning what you were doing with it. You felt that you were working with a supreme professional that, when you get to that certain level where it's that good, you don't feel like they're working. You feel like, oh, Pa's really upset with me, or Mr. Ingalls is not, happy, or he's really sad. It's like you just felt it.
He was
and then all you have to do is respond.
Yeah, exactly.
No
Pamela,
acting,
Pamela, take us to a quick break here.
I'm going to take us to a quick break. We'll continue with Patrick in about 17 seconds.
Simi Valley, California invites you to see the place where it all began this March at the Little House on the Prairie 50th anniversary. Discover our stories from presidents to pioneers, visit iconic locations like the Reagan Library and more. Make your own memories at visitsimivalley.com.
All right. Well, as we celebrate 50 years, let's talk about your take on your favorite or best episodes, not necessarily episodes you guys were in.
Exactly. What do you think, Patrick? Best episodes, favorite episodes?
Well, favorite episode for me that I'm not in was Bunny the Race. I just think that's one episode. But
again,
you're feeding into Allison.
Dean. See, I tell you these things.
Go ahead, Patrick. Keep going.
Hashtag justice for Bunny. Okay, continue.
And then my favorite episode that I was in was episode Men Will Be Boys.
Yeah,
because I got to play with my brother. We shot it mainly in Sonora.
Yeah, I
got to work with this old dude who's been around forever named Pat. He's the old man in the halfway house. He was fantastic. He had stories, but we also, Michael and Merlin got to be funny.
Yeah.
And everyone here knows, and I think you probably have talked about it, Michael was really, really funny. And you can see it sometimes on the show, but he could have been a full out comedy star. In the same way that it was surprising that Jerry Lewis could do dramatic comedy.
Sure.
I would do dramatic acting. I would say that Michael Landon was a hidden comedian in that same kind of way. If he had come out with a full-on comedy, he could have killed it. But I love that episode. That was one of my favorites.
I mean, look at that.
We didn't even mention that you were on the show with your brother at this. I mean, that's just the coolest ever.
Yeah, I know.
There's so many siblings on the show.
Everybody's related to somebody.
Michael liked it because it literally, and all the kids who were in the school and the extras were all the crew's children. It literally, when people say, "Oh, there's a great picture from that episode," and that was shot on stage. We were all wet, and that was kind of fun.
Oh, so cute!
But yeah, everybody on the show, literally, people on TV always goes, "It was like a family." It's like, well, in this one, it's like, "There's my mom, there's my dad." No, it was a family.
Yeah,
it's amazing.
Yeah. Well, Allison, do you have any debate on the episodes? I mean, what would you say is your favorite episode, that whether you're in it or not? Let's talk about what you're not in.
Okay, an episode I am not in, and this is crazy, is the one episode that makes me cry. Because everybody cries for it, and then I'm like, oh, come on, you know me. I'm like, oh, yeah, it's very sad. But come on, it's a TV show. It's adorable. But it's serious. The raccoon. Jasper the raccoon.
I can't believe that's the one that
I cannot physically watch that episode. The worst was, I was on a plane. JetBlue. They used to show Little House on the Prairie on the weird little TV thing on JetBlue. And I was like, oh, what fun. So I'm on the plane. I wonder if there's any episodes I haven't seen. This could be fun. And so I said, then I went, oh no, it's a raccoon. And I start watching the raccoon. And, when the raccoon comes back, and it turns out that Loris doesn't have rabies because her raccoon doesn't have the other raccoon had the rabies. And they know it's Jasper because he did the little thing with his nose. And so Pa doesn't have to shoot him. And his chin quivers, the little pin lights on the chin. The chin is quivering.
Oh, yes. And
so, I know that he's doing and now I'm going to cry and the light is on it and I'm still going to pieces. So I'm losing it on the plane because raccoon. And it was so embarrassing. I held the menu up in front of my face, and I thought people are going to turn around and go, saw her on a plane. She was watching her old episodes and crying. It's very sad. But Yes, the raccoon, Jasper, the raccoon episode. It's brilliant. It's brilliant. It makes me cry. You know how hard it is to make me cry over a TV
Allison,
show?
I have a friend
imagine.
who started watching Little House this year. Adult woman who started watching Little House this year, and the first episode she saw was the raccoon, and she kept texting me like, "The raccoon, Jasper!" And so that's the gateway drug episode.
Yeah.
that
And it just, when that little
floodgates
raccoon does this, and the raccoon's going to live, she's going to live, the dog's going to live. It's like, yeah.
Patrick, did you have any perhaps romantic moments while filming Little House on the Prairie? Any episodes? Any people? Any little?
I begged her not to ask this question.
No.
The gentleman does not kiss and tell.
That's the right answer. That is the correct answer.
Good for you, Patrick.
Yeah. There we go.
But yeah, I thought how interesting to explore, because there were on all these shows things go on, but you're a kid.
But
so
he
your
was
age range,
gorgeous.
you
yeah,
started.
but the hormones. Yes.
No, I understand, but you
Of course.
started off what age? So you come in season 4. You're how
Like
old?
11 to 14, 11 to 15.
Right.
somewhere
So
in
he's
there.
a teenager and he has lashes like a girl or a llama. I mean, am I wrong with the eyelashes and the big
lashes for the
eyes?
gods.
So he
Yeah.
is
I like the
stunning,
llama.
gorgeous teenage boy. So
Wow. Yeah. Well, so all
Well,
right.
what
So
happens
you're
on the
not.
prairie
Yeah,
stays
stays
on
on
the
the prairie. So you're not talking. All right. Good for you. Good for you.
Well, I was Olivia Barish's boyfriend in another television show. So Andy dated Sylvia.
Ooh,
So there you go.
El
There's that.
Scandalo.
That's sort of bizarre. So what was that?
I was this show called Aloha Paradise, which was their attempt to take the Love Boat and then run it up aground onto Fantasy Island. Okay. So you had like this show. It was like 3 episodes, just like Love Boat, Fantasy Island. This Hawaiian village was run by Bill Daly, and the owner was
Bill Daly?
Debbie Reynolds.
Oh, of
And
course.
so Debbie
What?
Reynolds runs this
Debbie
place.
Reynolds. This is great.
And her assistant is Bill Daly, and they have these 3 stories. And myself, Olivia, played this. I played the first of my basically jock jerks that I would play for a number of years.
Which is so
and
weird because you're
this
so
guy named
freaking
Brad
nice.
Savage, who you may know from Apple Dumpling Gang and all of these great movies from Disney. So Brad Savage was this pianist who falls in love with Olivia Barish, but Olivia's dating me, and I kind of bully him, and then the whole story is around that. And it was just it was hysterical because I was really, really a big fan of Star Wars, and obviously, her mom, Princess Leia's mom, is there on the set. And I'm trying to talk to Debbie Reynolds, and Debbie is very, very, very nice. But then my mom and my brother showed up to pick me up one day, and Debbie Reynolds just fangirled all over my brother Albert. She was like, "Oh my God, you!" And then she would just like pop out all these details about the story and how she was crying. It was like describing the raccoon story for Debbie Reynolds was talking about Albert.
But didn't Debbie Reynolds also have quite the reputation for having quite the salty vocabulary? I mean, wasn't that?
If she did, I didn't.
So
it was
you
not
didn't-
on
you didn't see
evidence.
that.
It wasn't in evidence.
Good girl that
She
day.
was on full professional mode.
Yes. Now you played a lot of terrible jocks. That was something I noticed that after Little House, you became the horrible football player, bully jock. Bro,
Yeah.
Chad, bro, idiot.
Heathers, right? Heathers.
And you were
Heathers,
like
absolutely.
dumb. You were
Amazing.
just a sack of meat who was just awful. What happened to you? What happened?
What happened to you? See, post Prairie, things fall
I
apart.
found a
you guys.
can of hairspray, and apparently they liked what happened. I guess I don't know. I think when during the '80s there was that period where you had to have the jock, you had to have the bad
Sure.
guy,
Sure.
And I had one guy comment to me just recently. He goes, Heather's is really homophobic. And I'm like, going, yeah, absolutely. It's like that was
That's
the
the
joke.
point.
I mean, it was
Right.
the whole point of it. And it's like nowadays, I don't know if people understand or with the lens that's today that those type of characters would be portrayed like that. They're still out there.
Yeah,
but
sure.
it's like it's just a different character now.
We all have had our moments, and Patrick, you've had some wonderful moments, and we're going to be celebrating all of them. Well, certainly your Little House moments coming up in March, the 22nd to the 24th, at the Little House on the Prairie Cast Reunion and Festival in Simi Valley. We're excited to see you there. I mean, everyone here on this will be there. You know, you will run into Pamela there, Patrick, because Pamela's going to be running panels.
I'm so excited.
Yeah, no, I think that's going to be really fun. We've loved having you with us. You've got to come back. So this is episode 7 to 50 for 50.
Yes.
As we jump through the year, you've got to come back again because there's so much more you can talk
absolutely.
about.
I watched the show. I think you guys are doing a great job. And, you know, for Allison and I, somewhat for you, Dean, but you were kind of older. For Allison and I, it's really it's a weird situation to be talking about your childhood and people know it.
Yeah.
That's the weird part.
Yeah. Well, there's more stories to tell.
And at least you're beloved. Even you, Allison. You're beloved.
Oh, Allison and Patrick are beloved. Yes.
Even you. Patrick is just beloved because he is
beloved. The Garvey era is in the house, and we're so happy you came here. Thank you so much.
Hey, my pleasure. Thanks for having me, guys.
Thanks, Patrick. We'll see you soon.
Simi Valley, California invites you to see the place where it all began. This March at the Little House on the Prairie 50th anniversary. Discover our stories from presidents to pioneers. Visit iconic locations like the Reagan Library and more. Make your own memories at visitsimivalley.com.
We are racing for the finish.
We're racing for the finish. We've got a couple of questions. Let's do this quick.
Yes.
Are we ready?
Yes.
Listener questions. Kathy O'Leary asks, with the love of Little House around the world, has there been any talk of recreating the building somewhere, the village, the Ingalls Farm, etc., like a tourist site for fans to come and see?
Oh, has there?
I think there's been a lot of talk of that through the years, but it's very challenging to do it. I think we're coming about as close to it as has ever been done in a very intentional way with the 50th anniversary celebration in Simi with our facades, and I think people are going to be knocked out by the recreations of our interior sets. I do have a picture that we can put up on the screen that shows the Little House under construction. So you can look at that picture and see that there it is. It's obviously nowhere near completion, but it's hitting that phase where it's going to be moved to completion very, very quickly now.
I see wood planks. I see wood floors. We're golden.
Yes, yeah. So it's going to be really fun. And when you see the roof line, that's really cool. I'll see that here's a facade being painted. Yep. This is the barn that's being painted here, and so things are really happening.
We're going to have the visual out on the ranch or the facades, and then we're going to have a 3D thing you can touch and feel. So,
correct.
And that's the thing. Everyone says, why can't it just be like Disneyland and Simi? That ranch, I mean, they're still filming on it. People are still making their TV shows and movies, and there's not electricity or bathrooms or anything. When they make a movie, they have to bring that all in. Yeah. So if you made an amusement park, you would literally have to create the whole infrastructure of a city. You would have to bring in electricity and plumbing. And
Big Sky is not Big Sky Movie Ranch is not a tourist venue.
It is wilderness.
It's a working location, and so we have to be very careful about how we're allowing people to move on the property because
snakes.
It's just snakes. There's so many places to turn an ankle and do all that. We're being very careful, but we want to give people this opportunity to see where things were. So that's as close as we're getting to it. At least as we're getting to it. Someone else may do it someday, but that's what we've got.
Okay.
Next, is there another question?
Next question. Valerie Johnson asked, did Michael Landon have help writing his episodes, or did he completely write them himself? Good question.
Well, I think Michael certainly, we all sat and watched Michael with his yellow legal pads.
Saw him do it.
Sitting on the chair, and he would write these things out in longhand, and the pages would be sent to his secretary, Evie Malouf, who was one of the oddest human beings, one of the most colorful, interesting looking human beings I've ever seen in my life. And she would translate this Michael wrote left-handed, sitting in the director's chair, and that would come back as script. Michael also, he didn't write all the scripts, but he rewrote every script.
Yeah.
He wasn't page one on everything, but he went through and put his touches into every single
Well,
episode.
sometimes during filming, as a director, that was saying you have a script and you go, this is great, and then he'd go, I have an idea. And we'd all go, oh, here we go. He'd have an idea and said, let's change this, let's do that. But yeah, he would write those things. I remember the Percival coming into makeup saying, you're getting married. I'm like, wait, what? Didn't he come in and tell me parts of the episode and then run away? And I come around, he's sitting there in his dressing room with the yellow legal pen and pencil in the left hand going, scribbling away to beat the band. And I was like, you're writing this right now. And he's like, oh, I'll be done in time. I said, aren't we shooting this like in 2 weeks?
Oh, he would write scenes in the morning that were shot in the afternoon, and the pages will be printed up and people will be handed the sides. And guess what? We're doing this right now. He had that capacity to do this. He
wrote them.
Yeah,
he wrote them.
He did write them. I don't know that we have time for another question. I think
Well,
we need to
can
race
always
for the
save them
finish
for next
here.
week.
Yes, we can.
So many.
We have. Don't worry, guys. We're
Yeah.
going to get through
All
a lot
right.
of these
Yeah,
questions.
yeah.
So if we
Yeah,
don't
yeah.
have them this week,
Can we
we'll
talk
have them
about the
next
one, the
time.
lady went to the barbecue? I mean, she wrote a long thing. We can't read the whole question.
Yeah, let's
Yeah,
see.
I can paraphrase. You want me
Okay,
to?
sure. Go ahead.
It's
Try
really
it.
fun.
Okay.
She wrote a whole thing, but it's a good idea.
All right. Last one. Debbie Norris wrote, my dad worked with a man whose wife was one of the hairdressers on the show. There was a work barbecue, and my dad, knowing
to
how
be
much I
Gladys
loved the
Whitman.
show, introduced me to her.
Would that have been
She told
Gladys
me
Whitman?
about-
I bet it's well, yeah, because she says she braided Melissa's hair. I bet it's Gladys.
Yeah. She told me about how she was the one who braided Melissa's hair and how she enjoyed working on the show. Until she said, I was enthralled until she said, Allison, the girl who plays Nellie, you wouldn't believe it, but in real life, she's one of the sweetest, nicest kids you could meet. To this day, I still remember the absolute horror I felt when she made that statement. Nellie Olson, nice? My 9-year-old self refused to believe anyone could be that good of an actress.
Yeah, no. Allison is one of the is one of those great contrasts where I always say Allison is our welcome wagon. Allison is the person around who she puts her arms around everybody who's part of the program.
She welcomed Andy Garvey.
She welcomed
the second he
Andy,
came on the set.
Yes.
And our hairdresser, we had Gladys, and we'd learn Gladys wouldn't go. And you did not mess with the hairdressers or makeup because, first of all, they were like 100 years old and had worked with Betty Davis and Joan Crawford and Faye Dunaway. Gladys was like Faye Dunaway's hairdresser on multiple films. How tough do you need to be? And
Yes,
she worked with
exactly.
everybody. So us little pipsqueak kids, do not start sassing. Don't sass the hairdresser.
I just very quick. Gladys told me a great. Gladys did the hair on North Dallas 40, and she did Nick Nolte's hair on North Dallas 40, and she coined the phrase, or she used the phrase that has become part of the vocabulary now: studied casual. Well, and Robert Redford's hair was like this. It was studied casual, but Nick Nolte. It's hard to imagine that anything was studied. It looks like he just sort of always rolled out of bed, and that was it. But Gladys had her fingers in that hair, making
knew.
it just perfectly a mess.
Perfectly,
And,
yes.
Yeah.
She was
a
a
big
genius.
fan of not doing too much to the hair if
was
she could
brilliant.
help it.
She was brilliant.
She was
That's
great.
good. I know people have written in asking to talk about hair and costume stuff. We should do
Well,
something where
have
we
to-
talk
yeah.
more about
Yeah,
that.
yeah.
Oh, we're
yeah.
going to. We're going to.
But
definitely.
anyway, we're running very long, so I'm going to unfortunately have to cut this off. This was so lovely talking with Patrick and you guys, and you're listening to Little House 50 for 50 podcast, and you can find us on Instagram, Facebook, TikTok, the socials. You can watch us on YouTube. You can visit our website, littlehouse50podcast.com, and that's how you can link up to all of us and see what's going on.
Thank you all for
Correct.
listening, and we'll be back. We'll be back next time. Now you're going off traveling, so we have to figure out that schedule.
Right.
but-
I'm going to be coming in by Zoom from another country or
All right,
something.
all
It's
right,
going to be
good.
nuts.
Well, you've
So
done it
we'll
before,
figure
and
it out.
you'll do it
Fancy.
again.
I did it from the car. If I can do it from the car, I
That's
can
right. You can do it from France. Damn it.
Yeah,
All right,
exactly.
everybody.
From
Thank
a
you so
vineyard
much.
in
We'll
France
see you
somewhere.
next
Yeah.
week.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Prairie on.
Oh, let's arms
Airplane arms.
flap.